I'm Jordan Spieth, and this is my US Open. The majority of summer evenings growing up, I would go to the course I grew up going to, Brookhaven, and there was a lot of other junior golfers out there, and we would be out there from sun up to sundown. And we normally capped our day off on the putting green with putts to win the biggest tournaments, and so when it came around June, it was a putt to win the US Open. When I was 12 or 13, golf became my life. That was when I chose to want to go to the golf course every day, enter bigger tournaments, and the US Junior was the major championship of junior golf. When I won it the first time, I think it moved me up to the #1 ranked junior, and then that's a target on your back. I kind of got a little ahead of myself as the favorite, and I ended up losing in, I think, the second or third round. That one really stunk, and so I wanted to go back and really finish off my junior career at the biggest event that we have, and never getting ahead of myself like I should dominate this guy. Instead, let's play this hole the way it's supposed to be played, and let's go one up, and let's push it to two. I just felt a maturity on the second one after winning, but then also kind of getting knocked out as a favorite as well in that off year. 2012, I got in as an alternate at Olympic Club. I remember walking along the chipping green there, and I remember seeing Luke Donald was hitting bunker shots, and I think Lee Westwood was out there hitting chips next to him. And I just remember thinking, wow, this is a different animal now. These are the best in the game, and I'm about to play on an even playing field with them. At my first US Open as an 18-year-old, that was a massive confidence boost for me, that I could beat a US Open golf course on the weekend. I could shoot under par on the weekend of the US Open. That was really the #1 thing I took walking away from Olympic. I was very much in form. Obviously felt very good about where my game was at. It was more just getting to learn a golf course and just fine-tuning little things. I was starting to get a good grasp on how to prepare for US Open, which is very different from other events. After playing in the US Amateur there, I knew that that golf course could show some massive teeth whenever it wanted to, and it wouldn't take much. So I think my expectation level on how much respect I had to give that golf course may have been an advantage over some of the guys in the field for sure. I was putting better than anybody in the world at the time, and I remember having a lot of 3 to 5 footers and just brushing them in early in that week, and just being able to knock those in at US Opens to keep that par train rolling is way more of kind of a stress handler than it normally is. Starting in the red, like really dipping into being under par in that round versus having to feel like you want to get something back was key. When you have a microphone on everything that you say and do for 4.5, 5.5 hours at a US Open, then you're going to be pretty exposed.
It's the dumbest hole I've ever played in my life. It's so dumb.
I certainly regretted the way I was talking about it, because what I guess didn't like about it was that when they moved the tees up, the hole didn't play the way it was built. It aggravated me. I obviously hit a shot left and then got into some trouble, and I think made a 6. As frustrated as I get, when I'm over the next shot, it doesn't really affect the next hole. My bounce back stat has always been a really good stat, and I think that kind of frustration sometimes gets me a little extra focused when I get upset. And upset's okay, negative's not okay. It was our last hole of the day.
Jason Day has just slipped and fallen here on 9 and is still on the ground.
I remember him essentially fainting in a way and going down. And what stood out to me was all the camera clicks right away. And I just thought, if somebody's in a position where they're really not doing well, the last thing you want is all the pictures that are taken of you.
Camera's down. Camera's down.
At that point, it was, how can we help them out and kind of clear the scene and try and keep the cameras off and let them just rebound.
Once it was my turn to putt, it was a par 3 and I was already on the green, so I didn't find it extremely distracting to my play. It was more, let's try and just get this hole over with. To be at 5 under for that US Open through 2 rounds is, sign me up any year, anywhere. There's always going to be something. At Chambers, it was the green surfaces being so difficult. Poana, really fast, really firm state, when half the field was publicly talking about that. I'm like, well, that's really nice, because I feel like I'm the best in the world with a flat stick in my hand. But now if half the people are going to be upset at the surfaces and that's going to linger with them to the next green, I just thought I would gain an advantage over anybody who is complaining off that, maybe by a stroke around. I was paired with Patrick Reed, who was my Ryder Cup partner from the previous fall. We were in the last group teeing off on Saturday, and I remember it kind of being a grind for both of us. When we got up to the 18th green, I had a putt to be leading and in the last group, and if I missed it, I wasn't going to be in the last group, which is where you want to be, because now you get the last chance come Sunday afternoon. That was the most frustrating part of that day, but to hang in there, still with a tie for the lead going into Sunday, and potentially winning 2 majors in a row, and to win golf's toughest test, I was pretty excited going into that night with the opportunity, having kind of gone through that grind day on Saturday and thinking, if I can adjust and play a little better tomorrow, I like my chances. I was pretty comfortable given having a major. DJ doesn't have one, Jason doesn't have one, Brendan Grace doesn't have one. And I'm like, wow, I'm the one with the experience in this position in this group. Now, they had all played late on Sundays and majors more often than I had, but I'm the one that's closed it out. I remember talking to Michael about that, thinking, we're actually the ones that should play with the least amount of fear. This is our tournament now, and these guys know it. I remember the drive-in Sunday just being super pumped to get going. But I hit a really bad putt, and it's just not what you want to do. I pulled it, I think, and yeah, not the start you want, especially when the group behind you is going to be watching that. You know, you want to make some noise and make them have to feel it. After that first hole, I remember saying, okay, I'm not going to look at a board. I just played 8 so well the entire week. This par 5, I just hit these little peeler draws off the tee, and then a nice draw 3-wood into the greens. I had eagle putts all week and birdied it there.
Back to even par on the day.
I remember going through that front 9 and not hearing a ton of cheers. There's a roar here or there. You don't know if it's for par or birdie at a US Open behind us. In front of us, I was pretty aware of what was happening, and in my group, I knew what was happening with Brendan Grace. But I remember it not being too loud behind us, so I thought, we stick around here and wait for our chances. You know, it doesn't start till the back 9 at a US Open on a Sunday. A drivable hole, and you're just trying to get it past the pin. And it got on the back of the green. There's so many different ways I could go about this putt. Like, you could go way left, way right. It's just like a putt-putt. And then once I got it out on that ridge, it looked really good. The idea was to get it within 3 feet. Did a little better to about a foot. And that was my job on that hole. Your job on that hole, they're giving you that shot to the back of the green, and then you just got to feed it down there and get it in 2, and not try and do anything more special than that. It was one of the only moments of the week where I just didn't have the discipline to hit it to the middle of the green and come back, and I just tried to get a little too cute and get it in there for a birdie. It dropped down and left me in a really tough spot.
Dang it! God, just this much further.
And I hit an awesome first putt. I didn't mean to look at a scoreboard, but it was unavoidable because I was reading the putt. It's directly right there. There's a drop off in the scoreboard. And so I knew when I was over that putt that I needed to stay tied for the lead. That's when the nerves really kicked in. Now all of a sudden you're leading the US Open with 3 holes to go. And my heart rate would have been going another 20, 30 beats a minute, 14 to when I was on 16T.
337 yards, 16's been reachable for just about everyone today.
Go, Grace! Go, Coop! Go, Coop!
Ball's way right, it might be out of bounds.
That's gone, Zach.
Mentally, it can really mess with you when something like that happens. So now I'm sitting there going, You got to pretend that he just hit the fairway to not make a protective swing. You want to make the same aggressive swing. It doesn't change anything in the shot that I was going to try and do anyways. It's one of the best shots I've ever hit was actually that tee ball given what's happened leading up to that. Just doesn't get any better than that. You know, I'm almost on the front of the green. Oh man, yeah, the reaction right on the check. Because when I hit it, I thought it was gonna kind of shoot. I thought it would hit, take the spin off and kind of shoot up the green. It actually ended up better that I left it short because of what happened next. This is, I mean, arguably the coolest putt I've ever hit. Midway point, I loved it. It held the break. And then with about 3 feet to go, I was like, man, that's gonna go in. All that nervous energy that came about from that tee shot till then all came out in kind of a big scream. I saw a shot that I wanted to see if it weren't a US Open in that position, and I didn't readjust to, hey, we're leading the US Open, this just needs to go out there. Tried to play like a cute fade.
This is headed well right.
Catch the ball.
Ended up missing a 3 or 4 footer and made a double. And just thought, did I just lose the US Open right here? The walk to 18, I did a better job of composing myself and saying, I'm gonna play to my spot. I'm gonna play it back short of this bunker, hit a fade off the tee.
With that reaction behind him, Spieth had to back off.
Everyone's yelling, Dustin, you know, you kind of make it out and you're trying not to hear it, but it's unavoidable. I just stepped up and just peeled a little fade into the fairway. Maybe the best drive I had hit under pressure in my life up till then. I mean, I hadn't really had to hit a tee shot in that kind of situation before. When I hit that shot, I thought, all right, we're still in it.
All right, come on. Let's picture that one, buddy.
21-year-old young man coming off a double bogey at the par 3 17.
It's one of those situations. It's what we practice for. And right when it came off, it kind of was leaking and it wasn't, I thought the wind would hold it up more.
Just a little bit.
And once I saw it land, I thought it would be good. And when I've seen this replay, you know, however many times I've seen this replay now, that wasn't far from being up, stuck in that rough on a very delicate pitch.
You're right. Pull some shots.
You're in the arena. You don't want to be opened up to outside the bubble at all until that last putt's gone in. That's just kind of how I've always been. I mean, you could be easily distracted, and I just needed to kind of zero in and say, all you need to see is this putt and what line it's going to take. Remember seeing Dustin hit his tee ball before I hit my putt. I remember seeing that thing run, scoot the bunkers, and thought, yeah, this is a birdie at worst, is what I was thinking, and so I thought I needed to make it. I hit a good putt there too. I just didn't keep sliding. I just thought that it would have that little bank right at the end, and it stayed there.
A one-shot lead at the moment, but the door is open for Dustin Johnson.
When I missed it, I wasn't upset that I had missed the eagle putt. I was upset at 17 and the fact that I had the tournament essentially won, and I thought potentially lost it there. And I wasn't in control anymore. And I remember watching him step up and he hit his 5-iron while I was still in scoring. So I know that they're cutting to me there, and I think I'm gonna lose, and I just don't want a camera on me when that's gonna happen there. So I picked up with Michael and I didn't go outside. We went over to the other room and there was a TV in there where we could watch everything go down. And I thought best case for me was that he 2 putts and we go tomorrow one-on-one. I said, Mikey, I think he's going to make this. I thought he hit a perfect line, and it just picked up so much speed that it raced and didn't break. In golf, you choose to be in control. Like, the ball's in your hands, and it was so difficult to try to accept that I wasn't going to be in control there. I would have much rather him made that and me go take him down the next day. But I felt so bad for him, but I also, to myself, it was like, look, I did the same thing on 17. I mean, this is a US Open. This is what happens. I wanted to celebrate, you know, I had my family there and friends, but I was also like, I don't really want to be celebrating as he's walking up right now with his family and friends. Mad respect for Dustin. He had turned into a friend by that time on tour, and I'd battled with him before, and I could feel for him with also the joy of what had just happened for me. Surreal to win the US Open. I just thought that would be maybe the hardest major for me to win. I just thought the way my game is and the way US Opens are set up and the fact that I just don't normally play a lot of patient golf, I'm a pretty aggressive player. I hadn't really envisioned myself holding this trophy as a US Open champion. And it was when I saw my name being engraved on that trophy, I'm like, this is one of the most sought after trophies in the world in any sport. And my name's going on it, and this is really, really special. And to be an American winning the US Open, I think added to that.
The USGA did a fantastic job, as they always do at the US Open. What a beautiful setting to play this magical tournament on. Thank you, fans.
I guess you can call that dreams, right? Dreams come true. When 72 holes came up, you know, my name was at the top on conquering that golf course, playing it under par, and beating the best in the world on golf's toughest test.